Coming up on the Q30 Newscast, voting issues surfaced after yesterday's election. See what the Election Engagement Committee is doing about the complaints.
And with the health center's shorter hours, they're looking for new ways to treat even more students.
Meanwhile, student government is looking to open a pub on one of its campuses.
And the big event is looking to make this year's day of service the best it's ever been. All that and more on the Q30 Newscast.
Good evening and welcome to this week's Q30 Newscast. I'm Katie O'Keefe.
And I'm Kyle Lavasser. We start tonight with recent complaints about an alleged student voting issue. Many Quinnipiac students voiced their frustrations yesterday on social media and to the Election Engagement Committee after they were unable to vote at their voting locations in Hamden.
It's unclear whether the issue is associated with registration process itself or if these students filled out their voter registration forms wrong, which is crucial to how the committee handles the situation. Catherine Pizzella, the co-chair of the Election Engagement Committee, said they are looking into the situation.
If we had turned forms in to the town of Hamden and they were not accepted and put into the registry of voters, that would be an issue that we would be really concerned about. So that's why we're trying to connect with students that had any sort of issue voting yesterday.
The heads of the committee have also sent out surveys to all students they helped register prior to the election, asking about their voter experience.
And the survey could be extended to the whole student body if issues are consistent.
In other election news, a new Connecticut governor has been voted into office for the next 4 years. Q30 News reporter Olivia Schuler is live in studio with more from this Tuesday's elections.
It's been over 24 hours since the midterm elections took place. Ned Lamont has been named Connecticut's next governor-elect. It was a close race between Lamont and Republican nominee Bob Stefanowski, who fell behind by 1.3%. Democrats were elected across the state this midterm election, which means Connecticut will remain a blue state.
I voted, a statement many Quinnipiac students proudly wore around campus after voting in the 2018 midterm elections. Students and residents of Hamden, Connecticut began voting in the early morning on November 6, where lines wrapped around local voting centers. The general consensus to why people vote? They want to have a voice.
I think it's important to vote in the midterm elections simply because we all have a voice and we all have our opinions.
2018 is not a presidential election year, but it is a year with federal, local, and state elections. Hamden residents are ready to see change within the government.
I would like to see a government that focuses on the economy to become strong, things to be made in America, bought in America. Americans should buy things from Americans, and focus more on a good work ethic.
Quinnipiac students are also using their voices and votes to help initiate change.
I'd like to see a lot of fresh new ideas. I would like to see more younger people getting in there, people who are not so by the rule book, trying to follow the norm. I want to see things get shaken up.
Voter turnout has increased greatly from previous years. The New York Times reported that approximately 114 million votes were cast in the U.S. House races in 2018, compared to 83 million in 2014.
The more people who are voting with their demographic, the more accurate it's going to reflect what the growing needs of the nation are, as opposed to an aging, typical voter population.
Democrat Christopher Murphy was elected in the U.S. Senate. Democrat Denise Merrill was elected for her third term as Connecticut's Secretary of the State. And Democrat William Tong was elected Attorney General in the state of Connecticut. It's clear to say after talking to Hamden residents, they are looking forward to change. Stay up to date on the political news surrounding Connecticut on Q30TV.com.
Thanks, Olivia. The Quinnipiac Health Center is undergoing some changes. After cutting down its hours at the start of the school year, the health center is now adding staff members. 3 new physician assistants, 2 new nurse practitioners have joined the health center in an effort to give more availability to students. The health center is also in the process of finding a prevention and wellness educator and is in the process of hiring a new dietitian.
Meanwhile, the Student Government Association is looking to open a bar on York Hill campus. Tomorrow night, there will be a pub night, which includes free food, games, a DJ, and a cash bar. The event will be a trial run to estimate student interest in opening a pub on York Hill. SGA Senior Class Vice President Allison Kuhn was a big component in getting this initiative implemented.
We're trying to get students to build memories on campus instead of having to take an Uber to New Haven or take an Uber to wherever they're going. Again, keeping kids in Hampden and building memories on campus.
The event begins tomorrow at 7 in the Rocky Top Student Center. Quinnipiac students, faculty, and staff are receiving spam emails again. This time it's blackmail. The email includes a password previously associated with the person's email address. These emails claim the person has viewed pornography and then demands a payment to keep the information private. Chief Information Security Officer Brian Kelly said, quote, "One of the things we recommend is students, faculty, and staff make sure they use different passwords at different sites," end quote. The university is warning students it is a scam, so if you get this email, just delete it.
The Quinnipiac community is getting ready for Veterans Day this Sunday. Quinnipiac earned high marks this year from U.S. News and World Report's rankings of best colleges for veterans. A flag-raising ceremony was held yesterday morning at 9 a.m. outside the Mount Carmel Student Center to recognize those who have served. If you missed the ceremony, don't worry. You can also write a message to Quinnipiac student veterans by going online to MyQ. And the 10th anniversary of Quinnipiac's big event is this year. Organizers of the Day of Community Service are looking to expand their horizons. This year, the big event is hoping to send volunteers to new locations in Hampden, New Haven, North Haven, Cheshire, and Wallingford. The big event is held on April 6th, but you can get involved now by emailing bigevent@qu.edu.
Quinnipiac's recent contract with the People's United Bank has brought new changes to campus, and yesterday morning, an event was hosted to focus on the People's United Center for Women and Business. Sarah Russell has more.
On Tuesday, the People's United Center for Women in Business held their opening event, Women in Leadership, Lessons from the Top.
We wanted to showcase our partnership with People's United Bank, but also we had the unique opportunity to showcase two very dynamic leaders.
The speakers for the event were Quinnipiac University President Judy Olian and Sarah Longobardi, Senior Executive Vice President for Retail Banking at People's United Bank.
Our partnership that we have at People's United with Quinnipiac and Women in Leadership, I'm very passionate about it. I've been fortunate to have a great career at People's United Bank, and I wanted to share my story in some of the areas that I've learned over the course of my career with others.
Both Olian and Longobardi spoke about their experience being women in leadership positions and held a Q&A session.
Why not be educated by two really intelligent women and learn the skill sets that we need to become like them?
The event focused on educating women in leadership and answering any questions students or professionals may have. Both speakers and members of the center shared their advice for students and professionals alike.
Know that it's okay to speak up, that they have a voice, and to be an advocate for others. And for attendees that are in positions of authority and leadership roles, they have a duty and a responsibility to give back, to reach back, and to support others.
Especially for students, especially at this point in their life, is really look for opportunities on how to diversify yourself, get involved in clubs that maybe you wouldn't normally get involved in, take a class that's maybe not part of your major, get involved in the community, things that maybe you didn't do in high school so you can expand your horizons.
The Center for Women in Business plans on holding another event in the spring semester. Sarah Russell, Q30 News.
The Pittsburgh synagogue bombing is affecting the Quinnipiac community. The fraternity Alpha Epsilon Pi, having a personal connection to the attack, is doing what they can this week to make a difference. Q30 News caught up with Quinn Frankel, the fraternity's vice president, who explains how.
We're selling bracelets going towards the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Last week there was a shooting there when there was a bris, which is a baby naming ceremony, and we were all shocked by the whole event, and it was a real tragedy, so we really wanted to do something for the Jewish community in Pittsburgh and really make a difference.
The fraternity, mainly based on Jewish values, was just chartered over the weekend. This makes them a nationally recognized chapter at Quinnipiac. Eddie Carvillo, a student that passed away at the end of last month, has a foundation in honor of his life. This week, bracelets will be sold for $4 in the upper calf. You can also make donations to Eddie's family and the facilities that helped him through his journey. Kyle, leaves are starting to fall, which means colder weather is coming.
That's right, Katie. Let's send it to Paul Caracciolo with a preview of this week's weather.
Right, guys. Well, you know what they say. The goblins and ghouls go away. The elves come out to play. A lot of people getting into the Christmas spirit, but the weather is not feeling it so far. As you see here today, 56 degrees was the high. It was barely hoodie weather, and a lot of people, I'm starting to see Christmas decorations. Let's slow the gun about a little bit. So obviously tonight, 39 degrees, possibility of showers later tonight, but everybody should be in bed by then. Tomorrow is going to be a similar story. 54 is the high, 35 at night. Probably break out a hoodie or two. Make sure you have an extra layer just in case, but for next week's weather as well and this weekend's, stick with me later. I'll get you the 7-day and different temperatures around the state.
Do you like debate? That's a converted relief pitcher making the start because it was a doubleheader. You got no hit by a relief pitcher. You can't tell me that's not embarrassing.
Analysis.
You can see his stance, his positioning right there is excellent.
And a side of entertainment.
Is he right or is he crazy?
Well, we all know the answer to that. He's a bit crazy, but I gotta say, you know.
Then join us on Bobcat Breakdown.
From the court to the ice to here on the diamond, we'll discuss everything you need to know about Quinnipiac athletics.
Bobcat Breakdown, Tuesdays at 9:30.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Whether you're on the quad in your room or off campus, tune in to Q30 News for stories from student journalists you can trust.
We're covering the latest here on campus and in the surrounding communities.
Get the news you need to know every Wednesday night.
From Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for entertainment news.
Last night, Quinnipiac's Dance Fusion team held their first ever open practice. Students wanting to get a break from studying or who just like to dance could learn from one of the team's dances. Dance Fusion is a different type of dance group on campus because it focuses on hip-hop. They are one of the many official dance teams on campus, and you must try out to be on the team. I certainly know I wouldn't make the team, but this open practice was a good way to open up the Quinnipiac community. And the university holiday video is coming up, and they're looking for extras. Students from all organizations and clubs are encouraged to sign up and be in the extra video. The university's a cappella group will perform an original holiday song, but don't worry, you don't have to sing. A form was posted earlier on this week under My Q in announcements. Students should wear clothing that represents their organization or club, or just any Quinnipiac apparel. Filming will take place this Monday, November 12th, in front of the library from 5:15 to 6:30. And in the event of bad weather, which I hope not, the filming will be rescheduled to Tuesday, the 13th.
Let's Get It On was held this past Monday night in the Mount Carmel Auditorium. The theme of the night was Sex is Not Taboo. GSA and Wish raffled off thousands of dollars in sex toys and gave free food to Quinnipiac students. Professors also went and discussed consent, the Me Too movement, and gender expectations with sex.
Formerly incarcerated members will share their stories at Quinnipiac. The production is a combination between the QU Theater and Cultural programs, as well as the QU Prison Exchange Project. These members come from the Emerge Connecticut program in New Haven. And in telling their stories, they hope to help those at risk for breaking the law. The event will be held on Thursday and Friday at 7 and on Saturday at 2. Tickets can be purchased online at 30.qu.edu.
International Education Week starts this Friday and ends next Thursday. Quinnipiac is holding events throughout the week to celebrate international education. Friday night at 7 is International Student Night at the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey game. Monday is focused on global internships, Tuesday is Passport Day, Wednesday is Culture Night, and Thursday is What's Food Got to Do with It. For more info, email international student at quinnipiac.edu.
A fun week it will be, Kyle. And now we have noon live for the local news update.
Thanks, guys. First, a Marriott hotel is being built in Hamden. At the long dormant site of the former Centerville Lumber, the Marriott will anchor the complex that now includes Roost and Amity Physical Therapy. Q30 News talked with Dale Krups, Hamden's Director of Economic and Community Development, to discuss what effects he thinks this will have on the town.
It will obviously affect the town economically and the restaurants that are right there, because more parents will stay, like for an event, whether it's athletics or just having a cultural event or visiting professor or whatever it is, they will stay there for a length of time, perhaps maybe 4 or 5 days or just a couple nights.
Krupp says that we can expect the Marriott to open in 2019. An update on the inmate that escaped Cheshire Correctional Institution last Wednesday. Police said Louis Clark used a picnic table to scale a barbed wire fence. He then stole a pizza delivery car from a parking lot. Authorities were able to track a cell phone in the car to Meriden. According to the police, Clark drove back to Cheshire and left the stolen car at Cheshire Academy. A nearby driver gave him a ride back to Meriden, where he was eventually taken back into custody. A 16-year-old New Haven resident was arrested early Sunday morning after driving a stolen car. Hamden police stopped the driver around 4 a.m. when they saw the driver's lights were not on. Police determined that the car was stolen earlier in the morning from a North Haven residence. They arrested the 16-year-old, who was uncooperative. The juvenile was charged with third-degree larceny. This week is New Haven's Restaurant Week. Nearly 30 restaurants from downtown New Haven are participating. These restaurants are featuring fixed-price meals this week. Many of your New Haven favorites feature $17 two-course lunches and $34 three-course dinners. That's all I have for your local news this week. Back to you, Kyle and Katie.
Thanks, Noon. Time for another break, but when we come back, Paul Crociolo has the full weather report.
And we have more on yesterday's midterm elections in your national news update. You won't want to miss it.
Tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. QCash is accepted.
Now that's a sandwich.
Do you like debate?
That's a converted relief pitcher making the start because it was a doubleheader. You got no hit by a relief pitcher. You can't tell me that's not embarrassing.
Analysis.
You can see his stance, his positioning right there is excellent.
And a side of entertainment.
Is he right or is he crazy?
Well, we all know the answer to that. He's a bit crazy, but I gotta say, you know.
Then join us on Bobcat Breakdown.
From the court to the ice to here on the diamond, we'll discuss everything you need to know about Quinnipiac athletics.
Bobcat Breakdown, Tuesdays at 9:30.
From Hamden to Hollywood, we are your source for entertainment news.
Whether you're on the quad in your room or off campus, tune in to Q30 News for stories from student journalists you can trust.
We're covering the latest here on campus and in the surrounding communities.
Get the news you need to know every Wednesday night.
It's time for our weekly weather report with Paul Crociolo. Today the sun was shining for a nice fall day. Can we expect it to stay, Paul?
It's a little warm today, a little out of character for November, but like I always say, anything can happen weather-wise in New England. But we're going to start here. We're going to look at the state. We got the left side of the state here. Torrington, 55 degrees. Danbury, 58 degrees. Kind of like what I was saying earlier. It was a little warm today. It's going to stay like that for a little bit longer. But we'll wait for the 7-day forecast in just a few minutes. Now we have down here New Haven, kind of more of the Quinnipiac area, 62, a little bit warmer, obviously, which is uncharacteristic because of the shoreline, but, you know, New England. So we got over the right side here, New London, 57, Norwich, 55, kind of like the other side of the state right here. But now we have Hartford here, the state capital, and then Lamont's new office is going to be there, as you guys mentioned earlier in here. That's sitting there at 60 degrees. And we're going to move on to the 7-day forecast now. And we have today, obviously, 54 degrees. Tomorrow, 48 degrees with 43 is a low. Saturday, 45, low 31. So it's going to start chilling down a little bit, just a little bit, though, as we move into the weekend here. 43, similar to Saturday, obviously. And then we have Monday. So 44, partly cloudy. Chance of showers, but highly doubtful. Pack like a hood or something just in case. So low of 36. Then we have Tuesday, 48, and low of 33. And then obviously we have Wednesday, which is the next newscast over here. High 39, low 26. Guys, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Paul. Glad to hear the snow is holding off. A lot of political news this week, and Sarah Russell has us covered.
Thanks, Katie and Kyle. A lot has been going on around the nation. Jeff Sessions was forced out as Attorney General, submitting his official resignation this afternoon. Sessions wrote in his resignation, quote, "Dear Mr. President, at your request, I am submitting my resignation," end quote. According to CBS News, a senior Justice Department official said the White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, called Sessions to request his resignation. Matthew Whittock, Sessions' Chief of Staff, will now become Acting Attorney General. He is expected to take charge of the Russia investigation. Before joining the Justice Department, Whitaker wrote an opinion piece for CNN in August 2017, criticizing the investigation by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Midterm elections were held yesterday, and as in years past, the House has switched party majority. The House of Representatives now has 222 Democrats and 199 Republicans. The Senate, however, is narrowly a Republican majority with 51 Republicans and 45 Democrats. One close Senate race led to devastation for liberals as Texas Senator Ted Cruz defeated Democrat Beto O'Rourke by just over 2% of the vote. Prior to this election, the GOP held the majority in the House and Senate. So many are wondering how this will affect the presidency of Donald Trump, who was previously backed by a Republican House. Tragedy struck Saturday as a newlywed couple died shortly after their wedding ceremony in a helicopter crash. Will Byler and Bailey Ackerman Byler got married Saturday night at a family ranch in Texas. They planned to take the helicopter about 100 miles to San Antonio for their honeymoon. The crash happened 5 to 10 minutes after takeoff, and friends and family looked on as it happened. The Bylers were seniors at Sam Houston State University. The pilot, Gerald Douglas Lawrence, also died in the crash. The pilot was known to be highly qualified with about 24,000 hours of flying and was the grandfather of the groom, William Byer. On Monday, Lowe's announced the closing of 47 of its North American stores. The retail chain said the stores at closing are ones that are underperforming, and now the business will be able to turn their attention to the more profitable locations. Lowe's has been struggling to keep up with their competition, Home Depot. Home Depot had more than $100 billion in revenue last year, while Lowe's was below at $70 billion. The stores are set to close by February 1st, 2019. The closing locations include one in Connecticut, one in Massachusetts, and 2 in New York. That's all I have this week for national news. Katie, Kyle, back to you.
Great to have you on, Sarah. And next on the newscast, we have our sports update, and 2 playoff games will be here in Hamden.
Find out what teams after the break.
Let's get it going. Sports Pulse starts right now.
We start tonight with some basketball coverage.
And here again, Aaron Robinson hits the shot of his life. I don't know what that celebration is, MJ, but I'm loving it.
Is that Fortnite?
Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Qcash is accepted.
The Quinnipiac men's soccer team starts playoffs tomorrow. Tom Krasnowski has the latest on all Quinnipiac sports. Tom?
Thank you, Kyle. It's the most wonderful time of the year for Quinnipiac sports. Fall sports are into their championship pushes, and winter sports are heating up. The best active team in all of Quinnipiac may just be the men's soccer team. The Bobcats have gone 10-1-1 since September 15th and earned a first-round bye as the second seed in the MAC tournament. The Bobcats will be back in action on Thursday at high noon as they will host the Marist Red Foxes with a trip to the MAC finals on the line. Quinnipiac beat Marist 1-0 just over a week ago on the road, so momentum is definitely on the side of the Bobcats. The men's soccer team isn't the only fall team with a home playoff game this week, though, as rugby will host the Notre Dame College of Ohio and the NIRA quarterfinals. The Bobcats are looking to four-peat as national champions, but the road to Titletown starts with a win this Saturday. Switching things over to the ice, the men's ice hockey team started conference play this past weekend and split a pair of games at Harvard and Dartmouth. The Bobcats beat the Crimson 5-3, but fell to the Big Green 5-1. The Bobcats are 6-1 on the young season and have received some national attention, rising to number 13 in the USCHO rankings. The grind doesn't stop, though, as the team will take on the number 12 Union Dutchmen on Saturday at the People's United Center. And finally, it's time for college basketball once again. Both the men's and women's teams will open up with tough out-of-conference matchups in Philadelphia. The women's team will play at Drexel University on Friday night, while the men's team opens its season under the bright lights of the Wells Fargo Center on Saturday night against the defending national champions, Villanova. It doesn't get much tougher than that, but the Bobcats are sure to be up to the challenge, and head coach Baker Dunleavy's return to Philly. Kyle, Katie, back to you.
Thanks, Tom. Katie, a lot of really great game schedule this week.
I agree, definitely. And we'll end the show with a nice story from New Haven. Sally's A Pizza is celebrating its 80th anniversary with free pizza and drinks. Every 2 people get a pizza, any size, any toppings.
Wow. And every person gets 2 beverages of their choice, beer included. The first 80 people will get an exclusive t-shirt. Sounds like a pretty good deal, Katie.
It does. So be one of the first this Monday and enjoy the free celebration.
That'll do it for this week's newscast, but stay up to date with all of our content on our website, Q30TV.com, and our Twitter at Q30 News.
To the producing staff, the crew behind the scenes, the show would not have been possible. For Kyle Lavasser, I'm Katie O'Keefe. Have a great night.